Welcome to What's Going On, the weekly podcast and videocast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of What's Going On. I'm Pastor Katie here at First United Methodist in Yankton, South Dakota, and I'm glad you could join me for this episode. I just want to, again, talk a little bit about what's going on in the life of the church. I think that's why we named this podcast what we did, and so that's where we're going to go. We have coming up this Sunday our town hall meeting, which is probably one of the big things on my agenda right now. We started these town hall. That's You can tell sometimes when my brain is working and sometimes when it's not. So we started these town hall meetings last year as a way to facilitate communication between the leadership team and the larger congregation of the church. I think it's really important that people have access to the information about what leadership team is doing and the decisions that they're making. And for people to have opportunity to voice their opinions, their questions, and ideas and dreams and things like that. And so last year we did 3 town hall meetings, and I think the plan again is to keep those on the schedule regularly, again, for that opportunity for the congregation and the leadership team to be able to have dialogue and conversations about things that are happening in the church, especially pertaining to decisions that come before the leadership team. And remember that our leadership team, they kind of make the big administrative decisions for the church. So leadership team is made up of 13 people, and they cover, there's 3 that specialize in finance. So this year that will be Dave Corneman, Eric Lancaster, and Laura Slowey. And so those, you're going to be hearing from them at the town hall meeting, and then Diane Kish also serves on leadership team, but as a non-voting member. She is our financial assistant staff person at the church. So between the 4 of them, you're going to be hearing about where we ended 2023 in relation to our giving and our budget. The good news is that we ended the year better than we had anticipated. The not so good news is that we still ended the year in a deficit, meaning that we did not have enough giving to cover all of our expenses. Now, that wasn't a big issue because we do have reserve funding at our Dakota's Foundation that we can pull from to help cover that gap. However, we do not want to keep that practice as a regular practice, and so that was why there was so much discussion at the end of last year around our 2024 budget. And if you remember, our 2024 budget was not approved yet in 2023. The finance team did a lot of work, and I want to give a special shout out to Mark Mooney in particular, who rolled off finance and I think probably was ready to by the end of December. And Diane for really going through our budget with a fine-tooth comb and really seeing the areas where there was padding, where there was extra money budgeted that wasn't typically utilized. And so really trying to get a sense of what is our real expenses, what do we realistically need to be budgeting, and can we get that closer to what we estimate we will take in for 2024. The gap initially was around $90,000, which is too big. It's just too big of a gap. And so we continue to work on it. I helped in that process as well. So by the time we had our first meeting with leadership in 2024, that was on the agenda. We knew that had to get done primarily because we already had to do payroll. And so we needed to know what do we pay our staff according to the budget. So that budget did get passed in the first meeting of the leadership team in 2024. You're going to be hearing about that as well. There is still a gap. It's not as large as it was, but there is still a gap, and we're going to need to have really open conversations about what we're going to do moving forward to lessen that gap. There are really only 2 options. One is to try to lessen our expenses, which At this point, to lessen expenses means looking at staffing, which is by far the largest percentage of our budget is in staffing. All of our staff are so incredibly good at being faithful stewards of the money that they use for their ministries, and none of them spend unnecessarily. And the other option is to raise our giving. And I want to say thank you to everyone who responded in December by increasing their pledge, especially our leadership team who really took it to heart that they are the leaders of the church. And again, that they're not going to ask the church to do anything that they are unwilling to do themselves, which tells me a lot about the leadership of this church and the people that have stepped into those roles. These are people who are deeply committed, deeply faithful, and trusting that God is good and faithful as well. Makes me really feel like we have the right people in place. Um, and so you're going to be hearing about that from the finance team, and know that part of our town hall meetings this year, that will be a continuing discussion, an open discussion, and know that they're also exploring other opportunities for maybe alternative revenue for the church, and things like that. But when it comes down to it, yeah, our two options are raise giving or lessen expenses. And we really have tried our best to lessen expenses as much as possible while retaining everything that we do in the church. And so that's going to be part of the discussion. You're going to hear from our trustees. So leadership team also has 3 members that specialize in trustees. The trustees of the church manage the physical property of the church. Our trustees for 2024 are Scott Gaziski, Merle Brandt, and Lori Bailey. So you're going to be hearing from the trustees at the town hall meeting about the roofing project that you've kind of heard bits and pieces of, but you're going to get the real full details. I'm not a reliable source when it comes to trying to explain construction projects, which is why you haven't heard more about it from me, because one, my understanding of it is minimal. I know that we have leaks in our roof that is above our education wing from the old office area, the upper room area, all the way down the hallway to the quilters room in that education wing. It leaks there, and part of the problem is that it is a flat roof above that area. It's been fixed in the past, but those fixes don't stay because water just gathers in pools there. And that's a problem. And so really to fix it, we need to pitch the roof. And so that's part of what this project is getting that so that once we have that fixed, that we're not going to have this recurring problem. And then there's also part of that project is doing some things because we have leaking issues above the office area where I'm sitting right now as well. The total cost of the project is $124,000. It's uh, we have some money that we've used from memorials that we are very grateful for, which we will not have to try to replenish that money, which makes the total of the project around $100,000 that we need to fundraise for. And so you have seen maybe in the church, there is a thermometer that says roof fund, and it goes up to $100,000. You will also see a slide that is updated weekly on how the amount that we've taken in, again, with that total goal of being $100,000. Even though the total cost of the project is more than that, we were able to use some memorial funding to help pay for some of it. We have the funding, we have funds in the foundation that can cover the initial cost. The fundraising is really to replenish those reserves, because if we just use that, then we will not have the reserves that we need to cover the deficit that we end the year with. And so again, we're going to be spending the first 6 months of 2024, hopefully getting that roofing project paid for. And then hopefully we'll be good on the roofs for a while, a long while. Like I don't want to deal with the roofs again in my time here. So the leadership team also talked about different fundraising things that we'll do to help facilitate that. And so one of them that I am personally very excited about is we'll be doing a rummage sale here at the church, probably during the citywide rummage sales, end of April, early May. And so I'm going to put that plug in your ear so that as you go through your spring cleaning, you can be setting items aside to donate toward that. And if you have any big items that you have been itching to get rid of, but maybe you don't have a way to get them out of your house, this would be a great opportunity because we'll also be able to come pick up big items. And so that'll be one way that we're going to try to help fundraise for that. We've got some other events and ideas. If you have ideas for things that you think might especially appeal to the community, please let me know. I'm all ears for entertaining ways that we can pay for this roof and also, you know, be the church together in the midst of it. So I've talked a little bit about what you're going to hear from finance, what you're going to hear from the trustees. SPPR, which is our Staff Pastor Parish Relations Committee, they often don't have a lot that they can share in the work that they do. A lot of their work is confidential owing to the fact that it's dealing with staffing. But it's a good opportunity to ask questions of them. And again, I think they're going to play a bigger part when we talk about, you know, future budgeting, especially if it is around staffing, what that looks like. And things like that. Our current SPPR team consists of Susan Shavy, Karen Miller, and Tammy Downs. We also have two other at-large members of leadership team, Dan Johnson, who is our current lay leader of the church, and Bob Thuy, who is one of our delegates to annual conference. So they also serve on leadership team with voting rights. And then we have I serve on leadership team. The only time I get to vote is if we're split 50-50. We've never been split 50-50. Leadership team often votes unanimously on things because we've discussed them and we come to consensus. So I've never had a need to vote. And then we have Rhonda Arns, who also serves as I think it's leadership advocate, but she's the one who takes minutes and kind of makes sense of everything that we're talking about, which is a difficult job. I will be honest there. And so that's who the leadership team is. That's who's going to be the bulk of what you're going to be hearing from during the town hall meeting. I will also be there and available for questions and things like that. But I really want you to be hearing from them because leadership team makes, again, decisions around the finances of the church, the physical property of the church. One of the big things that hit us in the budget this year was our insurance for the buildings went up. We were underinsured on our church building, and there's just not a lot we can do about that. Except say, okay, I guess we have to pay the new rates. And then also the staffing of the church, the HR side of things. Any sort of ministry related questions comes under kind of the purview of me as the pastor and our staff. And so again, if you have questions related to those side of things, that would be directed toward me. I did say last week that we would do it in Wesley Hall. We've decided to actually do the town hall meeting back in the sanctuary. The main consideration for that is sound. Wesley Hall is a very echoey space and very difficult, especially for people who have hearing problems or hearing aids. Wesley Hall is extremely difficult to hear and to understand people when they are talking. Even if we try to mic them, we have found it's just been very difficult. And so what we plan to do is there will be worship. There will be a short time of fellowship because it's the final Sunday of the month and we've got birthdays and anniversaries to celebrate. So worship, cake, and then head back into the sanctuary. We're also going to be live streaming the town hall meeting. So if you know you're not going to be in church on Sunday, but you're going to watch it, you can also watch the town hall. If you're on YouTube, you could use the chat or the comment function. If you have questions, we'll have someone watching that. Town hall will also, the other thing that's happening is we will be having voting on our t-shirt designs. And so thank you for all of the people who have submitted designs. I had no idea how creative this church really was. And a shout out to the visioning team for recognizing and say, why don't we let them come up with some ideas? And boy, did you. Boy, did you. You came up with a lot of incredible ideas. And so what I did is kind of put together a slideshow, and I took it back to the visioning team. And the visioning team are the ones who originated the vision and mission for the church, and also the idea to do shirts related to the vision and mission of the church. Is vision just like both of them put together, the vision of the church? Can I make that a thing? No, let's not make that a thing. So I had the visioning team vote on their top 3 favorites. So we're gonna have 2 categories for you to vote on: an adult shirt and a children/youth shirt. We had the 605 Kids design shirts. If you watched last week's podcast, you saw some of those designs. They're incredible. I think the kids really brought it when it comes to creativity. And so we're going to let you vote on your favorites. But the visioning team did the initial kind of narrowing down. And so I gave them all of the designs that I had brought in, and they gave me their top 3 picks for each category. And then the top ones from that are going to be the ones that you get to vote on. Otherwise, I find it's just too overwhelming. It was overwhelming for me because I was like, I have no idea how I would choose between any of these. And so if you have submitted a design and you don't see it on Sunday, I want to say thank you, because all of them were amazing. And it's just trying to narrow down the options to make it a little bit easier to make decisions. And so I had the visioning team do that first round of narrowing. And these are sort of what you're going to see on Sunday are the finalists, if you will, for the whole congregation to vote on. And so you'll be getting ballots for that. And then we'll also make an online version if you are not able to be at the town hall meeting, but you would like to vote. We'll make an online version as well and have that available. And we'll keep the voting open maybe for a week or so, because I really want to get them made and wear them and get it out into the community and be excited about it. So that's kind of a fun part that we're going to be doing at the town hall as well. We've got some heavy things to talk about, some not so fun things, so we needed to balance it with something exciting and fun. And so hopefully that gives you a little bit more sense of what the town hall is about, what we're going to be doing and accomplishing. Again, if you have questions or concerns or ideas or things that are not a part of that agenda, there will be a time for that. Again, part of town hall, it is meant to be a conversation. And so I am telling you what leadership team plans to talk about and bring, but you also have your part as well in asking those questions and bringing up things that matter to you. So that is what is happening this Sunday. I also, I just want to put out there just how excited and proud and grateful I am to be serving this church. I've been thinking, this coming summer it'll be 4 years being here, and I'm so grateful. A lot has happened in that time, and I look around and see all of the things that are happening and the excitement. And I mean, every day I'm having people come to my office or send me messages. Pastor Katie, I have an idea for our church. I had this thing that I think would be really cool. I love that. And I've been seeing more and more of it happen, even in the first few weeks of this year. And it makes me so excited. And I feel like every person who is here just has such a heart for God and for this church and for each other. And yeah, I'm just super proud. And it's fun for me when I go to conference events and I get to say that I am serving Yankton, because it means a lot to me to say that. Speaking of, this coming Monday and Tuesday, I'm out of the office, and I'm out of the office for my conference responsibilities. So just as church members are asked to serve in the life of the church. I am not a member of the local church. My membership resides in the conference. I'm a member of the Dakotas Conference. And we, as members of the conference, are also asked to serve in capacities and in teams and committees on the conference level as part of our service back. And so I serve on the Board of Ordained Ministry. I have since 2017. And what that committee does, the Board of Ordained Ministry, what that team does is our primary, well, we do a lot of things. That's why I stuttered there for a second. The primary thing that we do is vet candidates for ministry. And so in the fall, when we have our meeting, we are interviewing and reviewing paperwork for candidates for ordination, so ministry candidates. In our winter meeting, we are reviewing candidates for commissioning. We have a two-step process. First, you go through, well, there's a many-step process, to be honest. If you want to become full clergy in the United Methodist Church, it is not a small deal. It takes a long time. There are other churches where if you want to be a clergy, next week you can be clergy. We are not that way, and I'm grateful for it. I remember when I started the process, I declared. You have to begin by declaring candidacy, and you have to talk to your church, to talk to your DS. I declared candidacy in 2011, and I was ordained in 2017. It was 6 years, 6 years. And I was able to fast track part of my seminary. So I only went to seminary for 2 years, but it took 6 years from the time that I was like, I believe God is calling me into ministry. I already had a seminary degree. Still took me 6 years to go through that entire process. I just want to get that into your head, how trained and vetted and prepared pastors are in the United Methodist Church. And so when I say that you can trust your United Methodist pastors, you can trust them because they go through a multi-year, multi-layered process that the local church has to affirm people, your district superintendent, you go to seminary, you have to be able to pass those classes, you come back, and then you have to write a bunch of stuff and submit it, and then you come before the board of, and you go to the district committee in order to become a certified candidate. You have to be that for a year before you can apply for commissioning to become a provisional deacon or elder, whatever track you want to go on. I'm an elder. Deacons are more specialized and don't, and sometimes work in churches, sometimes don't. Elders mostly work in churches unless they're in extension ministry. You have to go before the Board of Ordained Ministry and do interviews, and they do site interviews wherever you are, and you submit all the paperwork, they're reviewing that, and then you go before clergy session. Your DSs also have input, other clergy have input. Like, it's insane the amount of people involved in the process of affirming your call into ministry and saying, yes, you are ready to serve a church. And I love it because it means that if the process works as it is intended to work, churches can trust that their pastors are called, are equipped, and are there to serve them in a way that is healthy and useful. Which, again, not every system has that, or has that in the same way. And so I'm part of that process. So I serve on the Board of Ordained Ministry. So candidates come before us for both commissioning and ordination, and we do the heavy lifting of vetting them. And in my area in particular, kind of the group that I've served on, and I think probably was recruited for, is in the area of theology. My background is in theology, both my undergrad and I have a master's degree in theology. I care about it a lot. And so I'm reading their doctrinal questions out of the Book of Discipline that are often 20 pages apiece. I'm combing through them, looking to make sure, is their theology solid? Is it Wesleyan? Do they have the basic understanding and the ability to articulate theology? Because every church, the pastor is the most educated typically. In theology, they are the resident theologian, and that is a role that falls solely on the pastor. There are other things about my job that there are other people that can kind of step in if I'm weaker in an area, but theology is the one that I'm supposed to be able to do, and I really can't pass it off. And so for me, that's really important. So um, I'm doing that Monday and Tuesday. And so I covered your prayers, also the prayers for the 5 candidates that are coming before us. I'm so grateful for the way in which God calls people into ministry. And I'm grateful for these candidates. They have been on a journey already to get to this point. And this is just another step in that process. Again, I think I've mentioned it before. Starting this summer, I will actually become the chair of the Board of Ordained Ministry, and that will raise my responsibilities a little bit in that work. And I just want you to be aware of that that's again my commitment to the conference. That's something expected of all pastors. Different pastors serve in different areas. This is where I serve and where I'm passionate. I really feel called to support and to help raise up and our next generation of leaders in the church, because the church needs solid leaders. And we haven't always been the best about vetting our people in the past or holding them accountable. That's the other side of the Board of Ordained Ministry, is we hold our pastors accountable. We also help and approve any change in their relation to the conference. So if they want to retire, that has to come before us. If they want to go on leave, all those kind of things. I just think that's really important. I take very seriously the call to ministry, and I think every pastor should, because every church deserves pastors who take it seriously. So that's what I'm doing Monday and Tuesday, and I'm very excited about it. It's going to be in Pierre. Woohoo. So, but that means I'm out of the office those 2 days. Yeah, lots of good things. I hope that you are feeling the joy and excitement that is happening. Also, just put in your mind, February 14th is Valentine's Day, but this year it's also Ash Wednesday, and we will be doing an Ash Wednesday service here at the church. I believe we're going to bump up the time to 6 p.m. for the service and have it be kind of during our 6:05 time, because we want all of the kids and youth and adults to come. This is a special service in the life of the church. We are partnering again with the UCC Church. We've been very pleased with the things that we've been doing together. We did VBS together this summer. We did the Blue Christmas together in December, and we're going to be doing Ash Wednesday together, but it's going to be here at our church. We're also putting something a little different in the works of doing some Ash Wednesday prayer stations that will be available throughout the day. And so as it gets a little bit closer, although it's not too far away, I'll have more information on what that means. And so you can plan accordingly, but we want to make that day a really special day. I love it when they fall together, because there's no greater love than the love we know from God. And I think grounding our Lenten practices in the love of God is very appropriate. And so to start Lent on a day where we are reminded about love is, I think, pretty cool. So I look forward to that. I just want you to have that in your mind, get that on your calendars. We are going to offer a meal at 5:30 for everybody. So you can plan to come. And so you're not going, what am I going to eat? Come to the church and eat. Then you don't have to prep it or clean it. And that's just a no-brainer in my mind. And so with that, I hope to see you Sunday for church and for the town hall. And just prayers for you as you go throughout the week. May God be with you in all you do. See you next time. God bless. Thank you for listening to this episode of What's Going On. We'd love to have you join us for worship here at the church on Sundays at 10 a.m. You can also find us online via our website at firstumcyankton.org or search for us on YouTube.